Relatable Reese is going to join me, and we're going to talk about boundaries and unhinged behavior post Scientology. Hey, everybody, welcome. I'm Natalie. This is Scientology Life After a Cult. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you to the members for being here. Thank you to the live chat for being here. And a huge mahalo to the moderators who help out and keep the wheels on the bus. We're going to have a great conversation tonight. We're going to be chatting with Relatable Reese about boundaries, unhinged behavior, and probably a variety of subjects. In fact, that's why I was a little late, because we were just yapping. I'm like, oh, we should save it for the live. So welcome, everybody. And as you come in, we are streaming on both channels. If you're on my channel, make sure you're following Relatable Reese here on YouTube. And if you're on her channel, make sure you get over here and subscribe to your girl. Show that button some aloha too over on her page. Like the video. If you're on mine, like the video. Without further ado, I would like to welcome to the main stage, the one, the only, Relatable Reese.
It's quite an entrance, Nat.
I've been working on
guys.
it. I practice in the shower.
Of course you did. You do everything in the shower. We're always talking about what you do in there.
Girl,
you really get a lot done.
You are with me in the shower all the time. I probably more will listen to your video in the shower. It's like I save it. I got to get my work done. I get my things done. And then it's like my reward. I get to go shower with Reese.
Of course you do. And if I had a nickel for every time a lot of people shower with me, I find it's a trend. We're starting. It's a trend. But yeah, this is the first time we've streamed on both channels.
Yeah. I think, you know what? I think you're right. Yes.
I don't even know if it's really streaming on my channel. Is anybody watching on my channel?
I can see people in your chat. Yadira's there.
Okay.
Marie, Kathy Ann, Susan. Yeah, I think, can you see the chat?
How do you see that? I see the chat, but how do you know who's where?
There's an icon, like a link next to the people who are in your chat.
Yeah, what does that mean? It looks like a paperclip. What does that mean?
Those are people in your chat. Basically, almost everybody talking right now is in your chat.
That's what that means?
That's why you don't recognize the other stuff, because like, where's my chat? Where y'all at?
Weird. Okay, interesting. I never knew what the little paperclip meant.
Yeah, so that's the other channel. So that would be comments on your channel, and then without the paperclip. There we go. Kimmy for the win.
Yeah, Kimmy Steele's doing both. I love that.
Kimmy Steele for the win. I have Reese on the TV and Natalie on the phone. Let's all take note of this technique. Let's all turn on our televisions, get out our phones, and watch on both.
Reese on the TV, Natalie in the shower.
That's right.
Yeah, that's fancy, guys. Thank you for being here, everybody. And yeah, go subscribe to Nat. I would pull that up fancy like, but I don't know how to do it. But go subscribe to her.
Yeah, they know how to find me. Just search Scientology Life After a Cult. And I've got, I just X'd out of it, but I just had you pulled up. And when we get off this video, I'm going to show you how to do the fancy stuff.
Oh, did you just eat a cat poop?
So here is, I'm sure all of you already know and are subscribed to Reese, Relatable Reese here on YouTube. Make sure you go and do that. Oh,
and also Nat, but I don't know how to do what she just did. Otherwise, I would show her channel.
Yeah, just go to, Life After a Cult. You'll find it.
Yeah. Okay.
Armine for the win as well. Armine, I have Reese on my iPad and Natalie on my iPhone, and I'm painting and listening to you both. Oh,
so cool. I love her. Oh, you're a good person.
I love that, the whole painting. And, I want to be creative, but I just feel like I don't have, I watch these paint and ponders. There's a channel, Fluffer Squirrel UK, and she will interview people or chat and live stream, but they paint and they ponder and they create art. And I'm like, oh, I love that. All I know how to do is color, but I have adult coloring books. Have you gotten into the adult coloring?
That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I am not a crafty person. I'm pretty certain on what I like and what I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm into crafts or, like doing a wine and painting class or what have you.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never done something like that, but I feel like, you know what, I just need to give it a try. And and channel that and see what happens. I want to get into painting rocks. It sounds so like nothing, but the idea these days of doing something that doesn't take a lot of brain power really appeals to me.
I'm sorry, Nat, did you just say I want to get into painting rocks?
Yes. Yes. It's a whole thing. You can paint rocks and put little messages on them and leave them places.
Can I at least get you like some canvas or something to, there's more than rocks to be had. You can paint.
Oh, but I feel like that's too much. Like that's the thing. I don't know how to like paint and, do all of the things. So I'm like,
Okay.
well, I'm going to start off with rocks and I'm going to go from there.
I just don't want to do anything alone. Like I want to
So,
get out there. I want to get out there and be somebody. I want to interview people. I want to meet people. I want
yeah.
to.
Well, I started dating. I don't know if you heard.
I'm sorry?
I started dating. I'm seeing someone. He's very special. I don't know if you heard that. I was going to introduce you in case you didn't know.
I didn't know, and I would
My new beau.
appreciate knowing more. I'm a little upset that I don't know. I feel
I
like I
know.
should be the first to know, but that's
I
cool. What's
know. I
going on?
wanted
What's his name?
I wanted to spring it on you because you might have mixed feelings about that given his past. So
Mhm.
here's what I'll do. I'm going to show you a short that I shared recently. And Reese really has no idea who my new boyfriend is, you guys, even though you guys know. So let's see here. Hold on. I need to stop that.
You're dating Xenu?
I am dating Xenu. But before you judge,
Oh, look at your cute
okay.
bucket hat.
I just picked it up too, and I thought of you when I got it.
Oh, that's cute.
It's lined for winter. All right, take a look at this. I want you to meet my new boyfriend. It's Xenu, you guys.
Natalie.
Met at the grocery store. We fell in love. And now he's just going to take me all over the world. We're happy. We're really happy together. He's super sweet.
Oh,
We like to dance. We like to sing songs. I want you to meet my new boyfriend. He's my boo. I got a boo.
why didn't I think of that? That's like a weighted blanket. It's supposed to make you
Yes.
feel like a
Yes.
hug. Okay,
Yes.
I need something like this in my life. Maybe that's
Mhm.
all I need.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I also have a weighted blanket. I should whip that out. Forgot about it. It's under my bed.
Yeah, get a weighted blanket. I heard that's supposed to be like a man.
Really?
Yeah, without the drama. Get like a weighted blanket. I'm serious.
I know. I might have to
I
do
get
something like that because, the whole Xenu is so misunderstood. He has caught such a bad rap with the whole galactic overlord thing. Turns out it's not all true what he did. Some of it is true, but he's been filling me in on the story. He's grown a lot during his captivity.
Mhm.
And I just
I
feel
know.
like people just need to learn the truth and know more about him, and people will learn to accept him. But there's a future there. So I'm glad that you support this relationship. I'm not taking it too seriously. I mean, I kind of am and I'm not. I was like, you know what? I'm not ready. I mean, he would get married tomorrow. And I'm like, I'm sorry. No, I'm not down with that.
You
Not
just
right
need to
now.
make
Too
sure, yeah,
soon.
that and you wanna make sure that he's not the same. Extraterrestrials can change. I'm sure that
Mm-hmm.
they, see therapists of the stars as well, and they can change, and I just think you need more consistency. That's where I fall short. I jump into marriages left and right. I've been married like 12 times. You need
Mm-hmm.
to see consistency, even if it is with an extraterrestrial.
Well, I was thinking to myself, if you, I need to think outside the box. And I'm not sure how long it'll take. Like with, it's Tony's been gone for like 4 months, and I just can't imagine being with another man. And it hit me. Wait a minute. It's being with another man. Nobody said anything like a Xenu. That's why I think we connect so much.
Yeah, that's really special.
It's
Um,
interplanetary, it's like
yeah.
very progressive, I feel.
I'm a little bit
Scientology will love
concerned
it.
about you. Do you have a therapist? I have a great one.
Yes, and we've talked about this. Yeah.
Okay. I'm your
I
friend,
haven't
Nat. I'm a safe space, but
yeah, I
I'm
haven't told
worried
my
about you
therapist.
dating a
Yeah,
plastic
I haven't told my
zip
therapist
ties
that
around the
he's
waist.
that he's extraterrestrial. I haven't told my therapist that, but I've talked about someone that I'm seeing who, you know what, I'm just trying something different.
And that is very different. We have to give you that. It's incredibly different.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
But
it's
you're
one
right.
way to live your life. It's
Hmm.
definitely one way to live your life, but I think there's other ways. I think there's other avenues that we can, paths to explore. Uh,
Maybe. What do you think we should do?
well, I think you're incredibly cute, and you can do better than a plastic guy with short legs.
He's got long legs, though. It's
Yeah,
not. What is it? Actually, I forget the saying, so I'm not even going to try.
Natalie, stop
It's not.
taking her meds.
It's not the size of the boat, it's the motion of the ocean, or is it
Oh,
not
it's
the
also
size
the
of the
size.
wave? The what?
I think it's also the size.
Yeah.
I learned that recently. I definitely think it's also the size. I think so. I've had a lot to compare to.
Mhm. Well, with
Yeah.
the 12 husbands and all, I
The
mean,
12 husbands, all different ages, all different, from Medicare to regular health insurance, I guess. I
mhm.
guess that's the alternative.
That's where you gotta meet people. You gotta start hanging out at those senior centers because
Yeah.
you
Bingo halls.
bingo halls,
I'm all
yes.
over it. I'm all over it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
AARP TED Talks. I
Yeah.
mean, there's probably
American
such
Legion.
a thing. American Legion, yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it could be a man who served his country.
Ooh, I like those actually. That's
Mhm,
a bit of a turn on for me. That's a bit of a turn on when they were like a
mhm.
Navy pilot.
Yeah. Check this out. Arkansas Flamingo became a member of my channel
I love
and
that.
a member of your channel.
I love we're just making it so fair. Like
Yes.
siblings right now. That's so nice.
And
Amy,
Amy is
who'd
a
you
member,
pick,
just became
Amy?
a member of your channel.
Really? Because I thought she already was one. Okay. Thanks, Amy.
No,
I
well,
love you,
it
girl.
says new member. I'm pretty sure it's yours because it doesn't have the thing next to it. Alex says, I'm so
Hey,
happy for
Alex.
you, Natalie. Are you going to Target too for your honeymoon? Well, I'm not letting them put a ring on it just yet. You know what I'm
No.
saying? I'm
You
playing
gotta
around right now.
yeah.
I'm not trying to
Don't take
settle down.
advice from me because I jump into things way too quickly.
And you've had quite there's like been a run here. There's been like I was talking earlier today on the recap about how it's been neat to see you grow, to see you go from where you were and now it's been like 14 months or so you've been doing your channel. Not only did you grow your channel very quickly, but you also went through some major life changes. I mean, you hit them all. Divorce, major life change. Moving, major life change. And here you are looking all cute and sassy and doing your
Oh, dang,
thing.
girl. Well, I'm trying. I'm trying to be active down there. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of changes, Nat. It's been coming at me real fast and fast and loose. But thank God for the TR bull bait training that I've had.
Mhm.
I want to give it a shout out to the TRs
That's right.
because I wouldn't be here and as stable and have makeup on.
That's right. Shout out to the cult for making us, like, not react to buttons.
It's true. It's true. No, there's been a lot of changes going on, and I think some of them are good. They're going to turn out to be good, but some of them have not been great. They're. I did a stream last night, and it was harsh, it was heavy, and having trouble with some of the X stuff going on, and I just wish that would go away. Honestly,
Mhm. Well, it's like we're talking about boundaries and stuff here, and that's the thing I feel like I know I've seen as I've been watching your channel and go through things is changing boundaries. And even with him, it could just be a matter of like it's a new boundary of he can say what he wants to say, do whatever he's going to do. We cannot control the people. We cannot control pretty much anybody, just ourselves and how we show up. And because he says something does not mean that it is true. I think it's the case like with everybody. And
yeah.
I loved your stream last night and if you guys didn't catch it, you got to go check it out because I thought you were really strong and you knew that you were in the right, and you were. And for anybody that doesn't know, we'll just give you a really quick backstory. Reese got a divorce. The ex has this delusion. These are my words.
Well,
That
it's
he
true.
can somehow get her in trouble with the law through filing false police reports, allegedly.
Mhm.
And the world just doesn't work that way. And you can say all you want in the world. I can sit here and say, you know what, I'm having a torrid love affair with Matthew McConaughey as much as I want. It doesn't make it real.
Yeah. And that's something I need to practice in learning. You are so much better at being decisive, I feel like, and knowing what's real and what's not real. And I'm so easy to stand on my own, but then it just takes one person that I slightly trust to make me start doing that. Like,
Mm,
I feel like someone can easily put a wedge in there and I start questioning my decisions and choices and I'm like, what if they're right? What if, like, I'm not good at that yet, and it's something I really want to work on, is like being solid and, don't look to the left of you, don't look to the right of you, own your decision.
yeah.
And that's where I wanna stand, but sometimes, I mean, like him, that's a great example. He shook me up with, "You're going to jail," and it turned out to be total nothing, a
Yeah.
total big nothing, but, that's a great example of where I just kinda started wavering, and I was like, "Oh, no, I've gotta get better at standing my ground."
Yeah. Knowing what you're knowing, being solid in it, because it's no matter what, the whole idea when people throw shade or outright saying ridiculous things, it's really with the intention to do that, to destabilize, to knock you off your game. And it's unfortunate that when somebody feels that they need to do that or that that's the right thing to do, it always ends up backfiring on them eventually. And I think it's because I really believe that, what we put out into the world and the universe is what we get back. It's the lens we choose to see everything through, the lens we choose to make decisions through. And if you do that, if you're setting out to where, oh, I'm just going to try and completely mess with this person's life and
Mhm.
go at them with a crazy amount of judgment and outright lies, because that's why I find it not to take away from the seriousness, right, of like how you feel about it, but I find it amusing because it's so ridiculous. Like, you can say what you want, it doesn't make it true. And you've spoken to law enforcement, you've not done anything illegal, you have the receipts to back that up.
Yeah,
And I do think you're getting better at that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's a flip a switch thing, but I think you are. And I think we're going to see that you are. And the more that you stand on your own 2 feet as you are, I think that's how you get solid in it, because it's just you making the decisions. And, you have your own goals and what you want to do.
I
And
do.
you're talented. You do a great channel. I love that you're doing the shopping videos again because I need help.
You don't need help, Nat, you're really cute, and that color is perfect for you, and your
Oh, good
bucket
to
hat
know.
was adorable. But no, I am glad to be kind of expanding back out and doing, I have all kinds of ideas of things I wanna do, I just haven't done it yet. I need to get a little bit more courage to do it. I was gonna ask you something because you brought up a good point.
Mhm.
The whole thinking, like, standing on your own, standing your ground on the decision that you make and not wavering. Do you think, because I'm so newly out of Scientology, because I don't feel like people in Scientology stand on their own or make their own decisions at all. It is an A equals A equals A, meaning, what does LRH say about it? Well, let's see. Let's go to the qual library and read what LRH says. Like, nobody thinks for themselves. It is a group think type situation. So I feel like I just realized that in real time as you said it. I was like, oh my God, that's one of the reasons I think that I go, people say one person has to say one thing and it pokes a hole in what I like, standing my ground. I'm like, here's my decision. And then someone can go, well, if you do that, and then I'm like, oh no, I introvert and I'm like, I didn't think of that. Well, that could lead to that. And then I
Mhm.
don't make a decision.
Yeah,
I'm letting somebody else make it for me. So I wonder, do you think that that is a Scientology kind of background because I'm so fresh still? I
I
just realized
do.
that.
I do. I think it's because in Scientology, we're indoctrinated to take orders. We're indoctrinated to take direction. We're indoctrinated to not make decisions for ourselves. We're
Right.
indoctrinated to do just what you said. What does L. Ron Hubbard say? What does L. Ron Hubbard say to do in this situation? I need to seek that out, and that will give me my answers. And it does take time to rewire that, right? It's like rewiring our brains. I interviewed a cult expert not that long ago, and he talked about how it takes like 3 times as long to deprogram a Scientologist, and as it does people from other cults. And another cult
Oh,
expert
wow.
said it takes an average of 12 and a half years to recover from Scientology. Not that you're fully recovered by then necessarily, but I found that to be true for me. I've been out for 14 years, and I've said over and over on my channel, something happened in the last couple of years, and I feel like I took a huge leap forward. Now, for me, I think it was brought on hugely by Tony becoming sick and going through his cancer battle, because nothing puts things in perspective all of a sudden when you no longer have all the time in the world and you start
Absolutely.
seeing things differently. So I started seeing the world and what I wanted to do through an entirely different lens. And through that lens, it was really more about what brings me joy, what brings him joy. What do we want to do? And all the noise and the judgment from other people and their opinions just fall by the wayside. And it's not that I don't take that in, it's all data points. It's all just information to make your decision with, but only you can make it, because only you know what it's like from where you sit and where you stand. I also think that with age, women become stronger and more independent in ways as we get older. And I don't know if it's because we just start getting away from, we're not so much, trying to find a mate and have children and all that. And,
Mhm.
I've raised my kids. It's really for the first time in my life, it is all about me right now. And I'm figuring that out. And I think with time, it's the same thing, that you're going to get there, but it's practice. It's a muscle that you just got to keep practicing.
You make such good points now. You make me think so much. Like, I love talking to you because it makes me, I kind of go back to this is good and bad, but I've said this before. It feels so good to talk to somebody who is in Scientology. For
Yeah.
me, I get almost kind of emotional about it because I'm like, oh, somebody that understands me, somebody that I can switch to Scientology language right now. And even though you're 14 years out, you would know what I was
Yeah,
saying.
totally.
And it just there's some kind of like I can't put a price on that. There's just like this like draw and tie to you that I feel safer because you're like
Yeah.
one of my own. There's not very many of us out, so it feels safe to talk to. But it made me even think about like so much so you can't think for yourself. If you have your own ideas about something, like I remember having my own ideas about something and it came up in session and they were like, "Oh, you need to get some false data stripping because you're wrong on that." Guys, there's a thing called false data stripping, which is what it sounds like. You think something and they get to the bottom of it kind of with what LRH says instead. And
Hmm.
so they show you what LRH says. So like you have some concept of something and they're like, "Oh no, 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 that's real world talk. Let's get her some false data stripping, like hardcore false data stripping." So you go in and you get taken off your thoughts and ideas about it and you're reprogrammed into what LRH thinks about it. And it just
Yeah.
made me think of that too, like just the decision. I'm learning that in therapy, like look within. Don't externalize looking around for
Hmm.
answers and people's opinions. Look within. And as soon as I do that and I make a decision and I'm like, I made it, it's good. And then it just takes one person for me to just kind of go, I don't know. Like it's really weird, but I just attribute that to the group think because
Yeah.
we're all thinking the same thing and there's some safety in that. Like, I
Well,
don't have to think on my
yeah.
own.
One, I think it felt that it was safe like that, but I think you'll find it's I've been learning more about the whole neuroscience and how we have these neural pathways in our brain. And part of recovering from the Scientology for us is rewiring our brains. Um, I was having all kinds of neurological issues, a little bit that I still struggle with muscle spasms And it was completely related to my brain rewiring from things that I didn't even recognize was trauma. I just,
Yes,
just
that's another one.
kept persisting and showing up. So to rewire it, it's just doing it over and over again and strengthening that new way of thinking and that new way of showing up. So each time you feel that, that's a perfect opportunity to recognize it and go, oh, okay, this person's saying this. It's making me feel a little wobbly. All right, I'm going to stand in my space. What do I think about this? Where am I at with this? And you might agree with them, but you might not. And the more you do that for yourself each time, eventually it's going to become second nature.
And I see that, but then and I try to get there, Nat, but then I immediately have this little voice that goes, "What if you're wrong? What if
Hmm.
I'm wrong?" Like, I start second guessing myself. It is probably like I'm so used to tightly holding hands with everybody under the umbrella of Scientology that now that I'm out here, I feel like where's my hands? I need to hold somebody's hand, like somebody hold me through this. It's a weird codependency that I didn't realize, probably goes along with too wanting to be in a relationship all the time with somebody. Like I
Hmm.
can't think for myself. I have to have a counterpart
Yeah.
to help me through this and hold my hand through it. And it's embarrassing to admit to that, but that's what goes through my mind.
Yeah.
I'm an
You're not alone in
overthinker
that.
anyway.
Yeah. You're not alone in that. And, and I would ask you, like, well, what would happen if you were wrong? So, like, let's say, and here's the other thing. I think if you, and this is also part of, in my opinion, the recovery from Scientology is getting rid of the black and white thinking. Is it really wrong or right? Or is it just a different way of doing it? You can't tell me. Think about an outfit, right? How many different combinations of an outfit can you do and it will look fabulous? There isn't just one way of wearing a hat.
Great
There
point.
isn't just one way of wearing a scarf.
But we're
So,
taught
because
that
you,
there is.
but we're taught that there is when it comes to Scientology and how we live our lives. So if you are open to that, and just change the thinking, you kind of got to flip the script that it's not wrong. It'll be different. And even if something it's considered to be a mistake, like, okay, I decided to do this, but that's not working out, then you pivot. But as long as you learn from it, you go, okay, well, what did I learn in this experience? Okay, good. I'm going to take that with me because now I'm better equipped. We only learn by failing and making mistakes and doing it again. And as long as you keep doing it, I think you're going to see that you're often more right than you're not. And don't be afraid to be wrong because, again, it's not just right way, wrong way. There's a spectrum of possibilities, and you are going to choose one. And as long as you keep in mind where it is you're going, how you get there will just figure itself out.
You're so chill about it. And again, I love the way you put that, Nat, and you put it in good terms for me. But even just the even if we're wrong, that kind of a thing. I feel like I think still in Scientology terms, which is, well, if you're wrong, you're in huge trouble. So you better be
Yeah.
right. Like, so that's the other issue for me is I don't go to this like, well, even if I make a mistake, like, no, it's life or death. I often feel like, but if I swallow the red pill, like I'm in trouble. I'm dead. Like that's kind of I think in such absolute still with like, you better not make a mistake.
Yeah.
There is for me in my own head, I'm just thinking out loud right now. The way I think is like, oh no, this better be the right decision. Like you'd better be right about this. Like that's how Scientology thinks. There is no like whoopsie daisies. We'll just
Yeah.
fix it. It's very like, okay, now you're in ethics. You're doing lower conditions because you made this mistake. And it's going to take all these signatures to get back in the group. And you need to make up the damage for the next 8 months of cleaning toilets. Like you don't want to make a mistake
Yeah.
because there's serious consequences. And that's kind of how I feel still in life, even though there is no
Yeah.
serious consequences.
Well, that's the thing. It's not there, right? That's not what's happening today. There's no tiger standing there about to eat you. But that's kind of like what the whole thing with anxiety is about is, we start thinking that there is. And then the more we think that there is and we put attention on it, it becomes bigger. And then we work ourselves up into this whole anxiety and we're destabilized about it. And I think so much of it with therapy, and I'm a big fan of cognitive behavioral therapy because it has to do a lot with reframing and recognizing for me, it helped with the black and white thinking more. And exactly what you're saying is perfectly normal considering what you went through. So when it happens, you can acknowledge it and then still decide to do something different, or to or even ask yourself, like, okay, what's going to happen if I choose this one or that one? Really, and with most things, nothing. Think about like my own, even going through when Tony died. I had, I mean, so much to do and going on, not just with his celebration of life and all of the things that you have to do when somebody dies, but, I have pretty much 3 jobs. So how do you do all of that and then all of this? There wasn't a way. And so I had to just let drop certain things until I could get to it. And
Yeah.
I felt a bit of that. And you know what I found out? Nothing happened. I mean, it's just, it's never, it's that Scientology stuff in the background telling us that we're going to get in trouble and being controlled with fear. But try to just show up more. I mean, what helps me is I try to show up with more of a curiosity about it. Like, oh, okay. So if I do this, maybe this will happen. If I do this, maybe that'll happen. Well, I think this makes sense. I'm going to go this route. No one's going to die. That is like my yardstick. If no one's going to die, then it's fine. Ultimately, it's just,
Mhm.
each thing. But I think you're totally right. You're so new out of Scientology that it's just a matter of recognizing that when it happens and make those choices and be solid in it. And have people, like I have people who, some really great advice, but I do think like you have to kind of like think with it for yourself. Just because someone tells you to do something, it doesn't mean it's right for you. Because remember, Reese, everybody sees the world as they are. We see it as we are, not how it is. So someone else looking at you and your situation is looking at it through their lens. Even, the ex-husband, he's looking at this through his lens. He's not seeing how it really
Yeah.
is. He believes his own BS. And it's so powerful. In fact, I had a friend over the other night, a girlfriend of mine, and she went to go grab some crackers in my kitchen. And she's like, "Oh, these wheat thins taste horrible." And I'm like, "Well, maybe because they're not wheat thins." And she goes, "Oh, what is it?" And I said, "They're an almond cracker with rosemary and sea salt." And I said, "Okay,
Yum.
knowing what that is, now eat it." And she did. And she's like, "This is delicious."
Do you mind spelling what they are? I love rosemary. Go on.
Yeah. So it's this almond cracker. I get it at Costco. I can't
I
even
need to know
remember the
more. Will
brand.
you text me a picture of it?
I will. I'll send you a picture of the box.
Okay.
But because she believed it was a wheat thin, she experienced it through the lens of it being a wheat thin, and it sucked and it was horrible. But it wasn't a wheat thin, but she believed that it was. So her experience sucked. So it's all how we see it. The lens that we're seeing it through determines it. A beautiful day for one person, the sun is out, this is great. Somebody else could be like, "Oh my God, the bright light, it gives me a migraine." We can have the
Oh,
same
yeah.
experience, but not
Yeah.
feel the same way about
All
it.
perspective. Sure, sure.
Mhm.
No, I definitely follow you on what you're saying, and I value very much what you're saying. I just every time I talk to you, it starts tumbling out of my mind in real time. Like, I start having all these thoughts I never thought about. And something you said a few minutes ago, um, you're experiencing trauma that you didn't even realize you had. So,
Yes.
like, now that you said that, it got me thinking, and I started thinking about, like, the Scientology to me is like constantly being in an emergency room. It's always
Yes.
Thursday at 2. It's life and death. Somebody is
Mhm.
dying. Like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Get that. I need that. I need that. We've got 6 seconds to make this. Like, that's how Scientology is all the time, even when you're at home. I mean, when I was growing up, it was like, why aren't you outside pulling weeds? Why aren't you being productive? I'm gonna white glove this room. Like, it was constant. So I think that I still very much don't even realize that that's probably some form of, I guess, trauma would be the word,
Yeah.
or I don't know, shell shock. I don't know, but I feel like there is this for me. It's constantly that, but then it's also, what if I made the wrong decision? People are gonna die. Like, that's my weird pressure that comes down
Mhm.
on me on every little thing I do.
Yeah, that's part
And
of the anxiety from before. And I think the key is just take a step back, take some deep breaths, go for a walk, whatever it is, and go, okay, what is the reality of the situation? If you can see something and not judge it as good or bad, just look at it like, okay, what is actually happening?
yeah,
Then it kind of like, I think you figure out the way.
let me ask you something else because this is so cool. We have 14 years out and we have
Yeah.
1.5 years out. Big difference, clearly. Natalie is super wise. I'm learning something in therapy, and I wondered if you experienced this in Scientology because I did all the time. For me, I have to have certainty. Like, there is no uncertainty for me. Like what you said a little bit ago, you're like, if we make the wrong decision, we make a mistake and then we learn from it. And there is none of that. You've got to be certain. You have to
Yeah.
be in control. And I still have that weird knee-jerk reaction of like, my therapist is like, what's wrong with uncertainty? I'm like, what's wrong with it? Everything's wrong with like you have to be 3 steps ahead of everything you're going to do. Like you have to have expanded present time, which is the future. Present time is now, expanded present time, and Scientology is seeing ahead of the future of now, the future. So I still have that weird reaction of like, but what if I'm wrong? Because that's not certainty. And I
Mhm.
still feel like I have to grasp onto this, like I have to be certain. Like I feel like it is very the matrix. Like if you swallow the red pill, if you swallow the like I have to know what the outcome of things are going to be. And if I'm wrong, then I feel like it's life and death. Did
I
you
think,
did you feel that way getting out? Like, did you experience that when you were in?
yeah, that's a complete Scientology thing because we're also indoctrinated to believe that we have to apply Scientology with complete and utter certainty. As an
Yes.
auditor, you were an ethics officer. I
Yep.
trained to be an ethics officer as well. And anything you train to do in Scientology, certainty is the key word. It's like that you have certainty on it. And that is such a lie because the reality of it is I don't think anybody had total certainty on things in Scientology because it's an unattainable idea that you can have certainty all the time.
And what is something that they said all the time? And of course, there's tons of things, but something my father said that it's an LRH quote. He would say this to me all the time. He'd go, "Do it again, do it again, do it again." Like cleaning a toilet. He'd go, do it again, do it, or reading a book in Scientology. And he'd go, "What do we know? Number of times over equals
Equals
certainty.
certainty and results.
Number of times over equals certainty." He would say that to me all the time.
Yeah.
"Marisa, number of times over equals certainty. Do it again." So it was like also just this weird, repetitive, like, if I do this 1,000 times, then I will be certain of it. They really screwed us up, didn't they?
Yeah. It's not even one, I don't believe it's true that we need to be certain about many things because then if you're so certain about something, if you've made up your mind and you're so solid in a point of view on something, then how can you learn or expand that? You're not open to any other option or viewpoint or idea. That's why it's called black and white thinking and why cults like Scientology do that, because it limits your ability to evaluate any information or data points outside of Scientology. Whereas if you're going along and you're feeling like, okay, you just need more data or more information, but that feeling of not knowing what's going to happen, that's where the curiosity comes in. Because the truth is, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't. The idea that we can control the future, I think the way that Scientology sees it is such a lie that we need to be in control all the time and we need to do all of these conditions and things to change things for real, like in your environment. And there's nothing wrong with taking action that you need to take, but all of that anxiety around it, that's a control mechanism from Scientology. That's how they controlled us, we were so afraid to fail that we rather clean that toilet 1,000 times and know we will not mess it up. Whereas in real life, the joy and the learning is in learning to do it, is in making mistakes. I'm very much, and I'm sure it's because I'm a Virgo and probably some Scientology, but I like to read directions. And Tony would never read directions. He would just figure out how to put something together. And for the longest time, I was like, I don't understand why you're doing trial and error when there's a sheet here that says exactly what to do. And what he said to me blew me away and really opened up my mind, because he said, it's the figuring it out part that's fun. It's figuring it out. Does this go in here? No, I got to take it apart again. I got to put this here, taking apart an engine, learning how it works, doing things wrong. It doesn't start, but then you put something in correctly and it starts, and it's so amazing. And you want to do something else like that, but you can only learn by, tightening the wrong thing. I don't know car stuff. That was a horrible example for me to use.
That's fascinating, and he's genius for saying it, but even that's something I never thought of, and it gives me anxiety to even think about. Like not having the A to B to C to D, like instructions, like having the laid out, that's the certainty. The instructions are the certainty.
Yeah.
Tony saying that is the uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to figure it out. Well, that doesn't work for me, because then there's no certainty in that. And that's what I guess I just realized talking to you that I think I still have a lot more. I think this is a Scientology word. I've used it before, but I can't remember. For me, there's a lot more automaticities than I realized.
Yeah, it's
that I'm
automatic.
doing.
That Scientology training and the way of thinking is very much, it's like this stimulus response thing. We were trained that way. That's why we did what L. Ron Hubbard called Chinese school, where we just repeated things over and over again.
Yep.
There's
pattern drills.
Yeah, pattern drills, exactly. So that, like a few of them, many of them I cannot remember, because I've had to let them go to make room for the names of my grandchildren and things like that.
But you had to scream to a wall. You sit in front of a
Yeah.
wall and you repeat things over and over and over until it pass.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I would do pattern drills for 6 to 8 hours at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have pages of things you had to repeat and know word for word without hesitation. If you hesitated, you flunked. Pattern, down pat. Pattern drill.
Oops, my phone just went on. You're
That's
exactly
okay.
true. And do you remember, in doing the pattern drill, it became embedded in our brains when we did it over and over again to the wall. All we had to do was repeat this, and we would eventually remember it and be able to do it and have certainty. Well, but where did it get us? What were we learning how to do? Just repeat. All that showed is that we were good at remembering things. Did it really become something we would think with? No, because we weren't allowed to question. It was stimulus response. So if something's if something's very complicated in life and you can't figure it out, what does L. Ron Hubbard say? The degree of complexity is directly proportional to the degree of non-confront. Boom, the LRH datum comes out. The one you said earlier, the false data, if it's not aligning with L. Ron Hubbard, it's false information. It needs to be gotten rid of. It's just, it's taking those moments when it happens and then just do it differently. And your Scientology thing is what's going to come in first for now. But the more you do it a different way, the more you're going to rewire that in your brain. And eventually that will be what's second nature to you. And you'll get more comfortable in, the unknown and the uncertainty. It's scary for everybody, even people outside of Scientology. It can be. But what if that was the fun part?
Yes. So it's funny that you bring that up. By the way, somebody said, what is a pattern drill? It's getting it down pat. So you're taking something from LRH, okay? And you are taking anything. You're taking anything. It's usually something that's like, for instance, getting down the high crimes, okay?
Oh, yeah.
You may have to know every high crime by heart. So it would be, these consist of publicly departing Scientology or committing suppressive acts. And you have to say that over and over and over. And you have to get the whole thing without stuttering or stopping. And that's just, you're getting it down pat, a pattern drill. Now, I just wanted to explain that. But something you just said too that came up in therapy for me today was complacency. People are complacent and they get comfortable, and then they don't want to explore new things, like Tony was saying, like you were just saying.
Yeah.
And he said something interesting. He goes, which is interesting because way back in however long ago, hundreds of years ago, he goes, tribes and things would purposefully not get complacent they would up and move and go do something totally different to adapt to new things. So they were always ready, always kind of warriors and able to fight. And I thought that was really fascinating. He goes, because a long time ago, people avoided complacency. And
Yeah.
now it's we just stick in the range of what we're comfortable and what's normal, and we don't challenge ourselves. And I think that stems back for me to what I'm comfortable in, which is Scientology and certainty and knowing. I don't think I've unpacked and ripped off all those layers yet. I mean, I don't do any more like, well, what does LRH say about it in my head? I don't do anything like that. But like sometimes I'll still go, God, that guy was really 1-1. Or like I'll think that, or I'll think immediately if I do something, I'm like, what did I just do to pull that in? Never mind. I'm not a Scientologist. Like I still do things that I guess it would be complacency, it would be certainty, and I need some false data stripping.
Yeah, that's the default. There's a default that's there. But it is a beautiful thing to, and like I said, I think a huge part of me making what felt like a bigger leap in the last few years was because Tony was sick and he had cancer and he was dying. And suddenly so many things didn't matter anymore. And we had made this decision that, you know what, whatever happens, it's going to be the best possible outcome for both of us. So we stopped trying to control the outcome. The goal was no longer that he was just that him living would be the best possible outcome. No, we didn't know what it was because there were so many uncertainties about his condition. He had 2 rare and aggressive cancers. So we just had to when we let go at that moment and said, you know what, whatever happens, it's going to be the best possible outcome.
Yeah.
Every step of the way it was. Even the way that he died, it would of course been better if he didn't die, as an idea. But with what he had going on physically, what it would have continued to do to him would have been torturous for him. It already was.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. And
I
so
know, I mean, I get that. It makes a lot of
yeah,
sense to me. Going through what I'm going through with my dad, like, I really get that.
yeah,
Like,
it's no
accepting
longer.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, accepting it and not challenging and fighting it, but just kind of accepting that this is gonna be the best, like the chemo treatments we're choosing right now and, hoping for the best, but also knowing
Mhm.
that's a great example, actually, Nat. Like, you
Yeah.
didn't get obviously the best possible outcome with Tony, but I still will not forget what you said that he said, and I think about it a lot even for me. I know Scientologists don't look at death the same anyway, and I feel like I'm still in that boat. I'm not afraid of death at all. I'm not afraid of dying. But I love what he said, that, like, he's just kind of excited to find out
Yeah,
what
find
happens
out
there.
what
Like,
happens next.
yeah,
Yeah.
I really admire him for that. There's so many
Mhm.
things about Tony I really admire, but, um, I just think it's incredible. Most people don't. I don't know. I've been with a lot of people who have died working in senior living, and I feel like a lot of them are like Tony, and they're like, "I'm ready to go, and I'm excited to see this person, or I'm excited to see what happens." But then I mean, you know, other people who are not. And I really admire that. I think it's admirable.
Yeah, it's a difficult place to be in, and I'm glad that that's where he was at because I didn't know how to be. It was, when you talk about uncertainty, it was nothing but uncertainty. And when we realized that, we just trusted that it was going to be the best possible outcome. And him
Mhm.
dying when he did was the best possible outcome. He was
Mhm.
suffering tremendously at that point.
Yeah.
And since then, later, afterwards, I still felt like there's so much uncertainty. And
Yeah.
then I thought, you know what? That worked for me. So what if I just walk the world with whatever happens is going to be the best possible outcome for me? And I don't need to know necessarily, like, I have goals. I know where I want to be. I know what I want to do. I have it like an idea about it, goals that I
Mhm.
have with I want to grow my channel so that I can reach more people and get onto channels that right now won't return my email. But when you get to a certain size, they'll pay attention and they will, and they reach more people to get the word out about Scientology and other cults and educate people about that. It's,
That's a
there
good goal,
that
Nat.
yeah, and goals like with my family, I want to spend more time with my grandkids and friends and figure out what I like and what I want to do because I was 30 years actively parenting 5 kids between the 2 of us. And,
Yeah.
it was only the last couple of years, it was just Tony and I, and now it's just me that I have to worry about. And it just reeks of uncertainty. And the thing that keeps me grounded is trying to approach it with curiosity, like, oh, okay. I have no idea how a lot of things are going to work out, but I know they're going to work out. And I know that whatever I go through is going to be whatever that lesson is that I next need to learn to help me do the next thing. And it takes off all the pressure. It just takes
Yeah.
off the pressure of having to force it. Now I have to take steps, right? I have to do things to get things done, but I think that's where the Scientology BS kind of goes out the window, because not knowing it should be that way, right? That's where faith comes from. That's where so many
Yeah.
art comes from. So much creativity comes from not knowing.
I have a question because that was really cool what you just said. Super profound and very, very the word that came to mind was healthy, what you said. Did that way of thinking, that mindset come from going through the passing of Tony and like everything you learned? Or did you experience that because of life with him? Like he helped you through thinking like that, like the kind of unknown, the uncertainty and challenging yourself? Or was that something that he kind of taught you and then he passed and you see it now more than ever?
I think it was a combination, and learning too about, like I said, cognitive behavioral therapy. I saw a life coach for a year who just rocked my world in many ways. And what she was trained in was very similar to cognitive behavioral therapy. And then just all of life, everything that was happening. But I also think that it could have gone a whole nother way if I didn't change my point of view about it. If I didn't change the lens in which I was seeing this, it could have been, I would have been stuck in what was happening to me. It wasn't happening to me, it was happening.
Yeah.
People get sick and they die sometimes. And it's horrific and it's horrible. And there's all the things about it and it's too soon. But it's also like, okay, it happened. There was no way for me to get through it without going through it. I trust me, I tried. I tried
Yeah.
avoiding it. I tried going around
Sure.
it. I just,
I get that.
throughout his illness. And then losing my dad earlier this year on the same day too that we found out Tony's cancer had spread to his liver at that point. My dad had a massive heart attack. And it's been a very overwhelming year. But had I not gone through the last few years with the things that I've learned, the experiences I had, these conversations with Tony about living and death and dying, and there's nothing we didn't talk about. It was all on the table. We had the most inappropriate jokes at times about him dying. And it's just wherever he was at.
I love that. And I mean, I can't some of the things that you just said, I definitely feel like I relate to because I have a husband that died. So I
Yeah.
feel like there's so many things that you were saying that I just kind of feel like, yeah, I feel like it made me reflect on too, like things that I learned after he died, like things that I just kind of challenged myself to do or accepted, and I felt more at peace. It kind of feels like you were experiencing it. To me, I took that interpreted as a lot of peace. Like you
Yeah.
felt at peace about a lot of things. Um,
Eventually, it didn't come,
yeah.
and it still comes and goes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's fresh.
It's but that's why I'm saying it's exercising that muscle of, okay, how am I going to what lens am I gonna decide to see this through? I could see it as like, I mean, nobody would blame me for never getting up off the floor again, you know?
Right.
But and maybe you feel this way too, especially with Scientology. We spent so much time on that. We spent so much time trapped in these ideas and this mind control that we weren't fully experiencing the world around us because we were forced to look at it through one lens of Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard.
Yes.
So, why do we want to spend any more time doing that? You know? And I think it's true with that can be true with many things. In your situation, think about it too with like what you learned, what you went through with Fred. And now, and moving beyond Scientology, is there's that necessity. I just have this drive to not want to waste any time.
Yes.
I'm going to work through it. There's times when I'm crying, there's times when I'm laughing, and there's everything in between. And there's days when I feel like, okay, I can do this. And there's days when I don't think that I can.
Absolutely not. I think that's absolutely normal. You know it is. You know
Yeah.
that, I mean, you're
No,
doing
it
amazing.
totally is. And it's that. So what I have to do in those moments is go, okay, take a step back. What is actually happening? What is it? What do I need? And do that. And I think it's the same thing with getting through that Scientology mindset is you take a step back and just try to look at what's actually happening and observe the Scientology that will come in, but you don't have to pick it up. You can just leave it. I was going to
And
tell you.
validate. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you said observe that, but also validate your feelings. We're not allowed to do that in Scientology.
Yeah.
So I've said that a lot lately, like going, this is what depression is like, and that's okay. I told my therapist today, he goes, yeah, there's a lot going on. He goes, how are you with the self-care? I said, not great. I've been
Yeah.
stuffing my face. I'm eating more than usual. I'm sure my sugars are high. And I said, 2 weeks in a row now, there's been one day each week that I did nothing. Like I didn't take a shower. That is not like me. I'm super weird about feeling clean. I don't like feeling dirty.
Yeah.
And I said, that's a lot for me to not take a shower. And by the end of the day in the sunset, I just was like, I'm accepting that I didn't take a shower today. That's unusual. It's highly unusual for me. I don't know, can't think of a time before that happened. But obviously, like things were too heavy. It got to be too much pressure. And I couldn't bring myself to do something simple like take a shower. And I think it relates to what you're saying because whether it be something dumb like my situation or something really heavy and serious like your situation, I think recognizing it and acknowledging and validating myself going, because in Scientology, you can't do that. It's
Yeah.
get to work, be productive.
Mhm.
And for me to just go, I accomplished nothing today. I cried and I smell and I didn't take a shower. I will do better tomorrow.
Mhm. And sometimes
It's
though that crying and not showering is actually doing something. You know what I'm saying? Like I think sometimes
for your
letting
self
it out.
care. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it's self-care. It's like, I know that it must be bad if I'm going through something like that, just because again, I still have that Scientology mindset of like, I don't care. Put your body in the shower. Like I will still run my body that way. I'm like, pick up the body and get in the shower. Like I will say that to myself and it's gross. That's how Scientologists talk. Or like run that body, like I will make myself do stuff like that. And now I don't anymore. And I'm like, yeah, this is pretty serious that I didn't take a shower today. I mean, if you know me, it's pretty serious. And I don't want to put a lot of importance on this because we're talking about you, but I'm just saying I understand that
Yeah.
there are
No, we
things that
were
are gonna
actually talking about you and I made it about me. So we're back to
no,
you.
not at all. It's an us thing, girl. It's always about us when we stream together. But I think it's heavier than I realize. I think that I'm
Mhm.
more probably indoctrinated than I realized. And I'm trying to just go, like you said, like nobody died. It's okay. Sure, it's gross. And I'm sitting here and I didn't shower and I'm really bothered by that. But I literally couldn't bring myself to do it today. And that's okay.
Mhm.
Instead,
Yeah.
I'm going to sit here and journal or I'm going to listen to some music and validate myself that I took a depression day. I had a little bit of
Yeah.
depression today.
That is
Um,
doing something. Listening to music, journaling, that is doing something.
but
It's
it's
the
so lazy
Scientology
to
belief.
me.
It's
That
not
makes me
lazy.
feel so I know it's not, but in my mindset, it's like, "Oh, that
Yeah.
was idle as hell. You
Mhm.
journaled, you drank a cup of tea, you spoiled brat." Like, that's lazy. Get your ass up and get to work. That's how I feel about that. And I'm trying to undo that and unplug from that mindset, and
Mhm.
it's not easy. And talking to you makes me feel so much better because I don't know, I just still have these Scientology expectations of myself, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you've got to stop doing that.
Well, and recovery from Scientology and recovery for me from Scientology, for us recovering from Scientology, may look different to people recovering from something else. Sometimes I know this is true for me and it might be for you. For me, my recovery from Scientology and that level that we worked at and produced at, for me, not making my bed is actually kind of a win because I will, you know what I'm saying? Like going like, hey,
Yes.
I'm short on time. I'm not going to make the bed and actually being okay with it. So sometimes for us, doing nothing is the solution because it's the opposite of what we were indoctrinated to believe we needed to do. And if that's what you need in that moment, then that's just what it is. It's that, like you said, it's that self-care. And you know what? It's one day. The world is not going to end.
I
I
know.
walked around in a robe for like I think 7 or 10 days after Tony died
Oh,
in
yeah,
my
I'm sure.
neighborhood. In my neighborhood, I walked the dog because I thought
Yeah.
doing it in my pajamas was lame. I mean, I just couldn't even I just could not. And I think it's that same thing. If you need to do that, that's fine. Give yourself that grace. I would say as somebody recovering from Scientology, work on being kind to yourself more than anything
I was
else.
just gonna say, you know what makes me so mad more than anything? Like, I think I'm so fat and gross. However, I can't think of one time I go out in society and I go, "Ew, she's fat and gross." I think big bodies are beautiful. I think
Yeah,
big women, I'm attracted to larger men. It's just me I tear down. And it's the same thing with what you just said about your robe. Like, I if I see that out in the world, like if someone's really rude to me, I used to really snap and react. And now I think ever since Fred died, I'm like, that lady could have just lost her husband for all I know. Like, I remember being in my robe like that. Like, I remember being out of it. I remember being like, "I'm sorry, what?" Like, I forgot I had a child for a minute there. I'm just like, I was
yeah.
so out of it. And so I think now, that person may have just experienced a loss. Now, I don't do it all the time. I'm not saying I don't react. If someone's rude to me, sometimes I do snap back. But for the most part, if I see someone that you can tell is not quite right, something's not quite right, I think, you know
Yeah.
what? Maybe they just lost a child. Maybe they, anything. Maybe they just lost their job. I don't know. But let's give them a little grace. Why can't I do that for me?
I think
I'm
that's
like, "You
hard
didn't
for many of
shower?
us.
You're disgusting." Like, I
Mhm.
I really tear myself down.
Well, and that's a
And
tape you have
it's,
playing. I mean, that's what you heard over and over and over again. I mean, your father was a complete asshole. It's just that invalidation. I mean, from the person, the people that we look to love us and to take care of us, that those are the people tearing us down and handing us over to an organization that wants to make us into warrior robots as children so we can do their bidding as adults. So, of course, and Scientology is very much about controlling, doing the mind control on ourselves. It doesn't even take somebody else being there. In fact, for me, the worst of it was the stuff I did to myself more than somebody else enforcing something on me. It's when I enforced it on myself that later on in looking back on that, when I really felt like so not me
yeah.
and being okay with it.
I think now more than ever, Nat, like, I have more friends than I've ever had that are real like, unconditional love is a brand new thing for me.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing experience to feel it, to know the difference is amazing. Because in Scientology, it's truly conditional. And now that I've met people that are like, no matter what, I've
Yeah.
met some. I've met some where I thought it was unconditional and clearly it's not. And that's a little bit heartbreaking for me. But I've experienced so much loss, I also think leave my life then, walk away and,
Mhm.
that's okay too. But, I think I'm only gonna go up from here, having friends like you, especially like you, because you are so understanding, and I feel like I can look up to you and you can go, "I've been there." Like, I know exactly what you're going through, and you can also teach me lessons about it, like, things you've said tonight, I feel like I'm like, "Yeah, I just also hurry and rush healing. I'm like, "I wanna get through it. I wanna get through it. I wanna have that wisdom." And so you can't do that. I know that. And I think I need to relax a little bit and go
Mhm.
with the uncertainty of in 1 year from now, it's gonna be better. In 2 years, 5 years, like, your life is gonna be dramatically different. It's just right
Mhm.
now, I still feel the weight. I feel like I'm carrying that weight. of
Yeah.
Scientology, and I
No, I
can't
know what
seem to
you
set it
mean.
down.
Yeah. And it's as simple as setting it down. It's funny you say that because I was going to tell you this the other day. I almost called you. I was in the car and I was thinking about how, the whole, like, the weight of grief or the weight of, like, with Scientology and the control and where do I put it? Like, I was driving thinking, like, I just don't know where to put this. Almost as clear as day. I felt like I heard Tony say, put it down, put it down. I don't have to carry my grief with me all the time, especially when I'm not feeling it. I think
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
same thing. You don't need to carry that anxiety and that push and that pressure and that Scientology all the time. You could put it down
Set it
and
down.
set it down and try and look at things as if you've never seen them before. Every moment is a new moment. It sounds cheesy, but it is
Because
so
we have
true.
never seen them before, Nat.
Exactly.
Because we have no it's a new lens. This is filtering it through a
Yeah,
new kaleidoscope. I have never seen stuff before. I feel like I'm so new to this world, meeting non-Scientologists. I'm like, "Wow." Like, this is fascinating to talk to a real person. It's stupid, but it's not because I am not thinking like a Scientologist anymore. So it is new.
yeah,
And I feel like even for you, 14 years out, there's still gotta be things that you're like, "That's different." Don't you still feel the
all the time.
pull of some Scientology thinking? Yeah, I mean, what your cult expert said, I'm sure is true. It's the hardest one to I mean,
Yeah.
this is not just going to church on Sundays. This is every day since I could speak, same with you. And once I could
Mhm.
speak, it was, "Oh, good. Pick up the cans.
Yeah.
We're gonna interrogate you now."
And I think that it's depending on how, we all process that, right? It's being willing to make those changes because I could feel myself when I left Scientology in my years afterwards, there was still like anger there. And it wasn't
Yeah.
until I let myself be vulnerable, really, that like, okay, I'm gonna put it out there. Like don't know how this is gonna go, or just be curious about learning something new, but not judging myself and then not judging other people. Because really, I think so much misery that we go through and that we experience is around, judging each other and judging ourselves. Why can't somebody just have their experience and how they see it and that's it? Why do you have to force somebody to try and see it the way that you do? Scientology does
Right.
that. They did that. We were forced. And as you said earlier, if we didn't believe or see how L. Ron Hubbard saw it, there was a procedure done on us, the false data stripping,
False
to
data
strip
stripping.
away what we knew and replace it with L. Ron Hubbard. You're
That's
doing
right.
that
I
now
had
every day.
I had tons of false data stripping. I think because I voiced my views too much. Sorry, something almost fell off the shelf. I voiced my opinion too much, and they would go, "Oh, well, yeah, that's not what LRH says about it. So we're gonna get you some false data stripping." Um, and there's just so much. There's so much Nat, and then add grief to it. Like what you're experiencing, it makes it so I feel like that makes it so much harder. Um, Fred passed away and that was obviously grieving, and I talked about grieving recently and, like, we don't grieve in Scientology. So, like, my
Mhm.
therapist asked me, he goes, "How are you grieving all these losses? Like, breaking up with Tommy, the divorce, losing all my friends in Scientology, finding out some people weren't really my friends on my channel, some people stabbing me in the back." And I was like, "What do you mean grieving?" I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that. We don't grieve. We do a loss of a person assist and we move on. You remove the emotion. Well, you do. You remove the emotion from the loss and you move on and you get back to work. And
Mhm.
that's another hard thing for me that I feel like I always say this because it's kind of, I don't know why I always think of it this way, but like, I don't know if you saw that movie City of Angels.
With Nick Cage?
With Nicolas Cage, yeah. When he jumps to be with Meg Ryan in the end, he's an angel and he jumps to Earth to become a human so he can be with her because he's that in love with her. It's the saddest
Okay.
movie ever. But he jumps and he's an angel, but now he becomes human and he jumps and he's bleeding and like somewhere and he's like, "This is blood?" He's like, "This is blood." And he's like all excited about it. And I always say I equate that to when I get out of Scientology. I'm like, this is depression. Like these are emotions. This is This is sadness because we can't even use the word depression. We can't use depressed. I never used the word anxiety in my lifetime until I got out of Scientology. That's a no-no of a word. You can't say that word. That's a psych term. Depression is a psych term. You can't say, I didn't even know what PTSD was. I was like, what the hell is that? It's a psych term. So
Yeah,
it's just, there's so
exactly.
much to process. And like, even I was thinking about my recent thing with Tommy. I'm like, this is heartbreak. This is heartbreak. This is heartbreak. Like, I'm really sad about this. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of thought this was going to be something and now it's not. And as a true Scientologist, I packed it up and shipped it down the river and I'm not going to cry about it anymore. I'm like, it's okay. Like, do some TRs and move on, remove the emotion from it. And I hate that about it because I didn't really grieve it. I didn't process it. I'm just kind of like, that's okay. Fuck it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. You know, wasn't
And
love.
it's
Like,
yeah,
that's
and
what I
it's
tell
not too
myself.
late. It's not too late to grieve it. And even when it's still a loss, right? Whether it was like you were meant to be or not meant to be, it's like when we have a plan, even when people get divorced and it's the right thing for both people, it's you're mourning a life that you thought it was going to be different. And I think we're learning how to do that and how to honor that. And I think if we don't, that's where like the unhinged behavior comes in is, we're still we would still be carrying around that Scientology thinking if we didn't set it down or replace it with something else. And that, doing therapy, and you've said so many times, like that's so helpful in your healing because it's giving you new tools. And that's what I found. Once I got new tools, it was easier to let go of the other ones. But when it's all it's scary to let that go.
That's why I believe therapy is so important, especially getting out of Scientology. You've got to replace it with something. You have to replace it with something. And honestly, I didn't know where to turn. Therapy is huge for me and my channel. Those are the two things because these people are therapy for me. They help me, they guide me, they direct me, and I trust them. And that took me a minute, but I really trust these people and it's helped me a lot. But still, I find myself being so black and white still. Like,
Yeah.
I just I'm my father. I remember when his wife died right before roll call. She died OT8, died of breast cancer, my stepmother, and he got the phone call like at 3:44 and roll call was at 3:45. And the supervisor Brenda, my mother-in-law at the time, goes, "Gene, are you all right?" He got off the phone and she died. He goes, "I just got the call that Kathy died. She had 5 kids, OT8 breast cancer." And Brenda goes, "Oh my God." She goes, there's of course, no one says I'm sorry when someone dies. Do you ever notice that in Scientology? No one
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss." That's a huge no-no. You don't do that. She goes, "Oh my God." She goes, "Are you all right? Should we get you a loss of a person assist?" And he went, I was standing there. I think I was standing there, or maybe she told me, but I feel like I was standing there because I see his reaction. But he went, "Nah." He said, "She's a good girl. She'll be all right."
Wow.
That's how I still like major like that's grieving in Scientology. That's it. That's how you grieve. That's it.
Hmm.
She'll be all right. She's a good girl. She'll be all right. Um, that's how Scientology funeral goes. So it's like even this recent breakup I had, I felt like I had to just swallow it and go, all right, well, I want to burst into tears right now. And I did. I really reacted emotionally to that. That was
Yeah.
huge for me. But it's even that still. I feel like I just have to go, well, you know what? Move on. Like, I don't know how else to react to something.
Yeah.
And it's the best way to react. What am I going to do? I mean, there's nothing I can do. It's over. And I'm not sitting here saying, I mean, I'll be okay. You know, I'm sure another gentleman will come along at some point. I always tend to. I've been married 15 times, but I just really felt an emotional reaction to that is what I'm trying to say. And I don't know where to stuff it. I don't know how to handle it. I don't know what to do with it. I feel like Nicolas Cage. I'm like, this is blood. This is blood.
Hmm.
Because I'm used to going in session about it or having an ARC break
Yeah.
assist or something. I
But
don't know how to deal
you're
with it.
doing the things, the therapy, that is a tool. Journaling, crying, not taking a shower sometimes, taking a shower.
Showing emotion in public.
Yeah, showing emotion in public. I was so proud of you when you were crying like that. I don't think I'd
Damn, I
seen you
lost it
cry like
too.
that.
I
Yeah,
was very upset.
and it's very difficult. It's difficult for, I would say, for most people to do, especially publicly, but it's especially difficult for us because we work so hard to, hide and push that stuff down. And I think I've gotten more comfortable here on YouTube in sharing everything. And Tony and I made the decision. He made the decision because I'm like, how much of this do you want to share? And he said, all of it. All of it. There's nothing that you can't talk about it because you never know who's listening, who might benefit from that, who might need to hear something that day, who might find something funny that you said. It's all of those things. And I think you're doing that. You're actually you're feeling it and you're processing it, and that uncomfortableness and sitting in it. And it's not going to happen overnight. You can't just shut it off. I know you want to. I feel the same way with the grief, like with Tony. I'm like, I just want to shut it off. You can't.
Yes.
You shouldn't. We can shut it off. I could if I really wanted to, but that's not healthy. Being able
No,
to
it's not.
express it, yeah, and feeling it, and it honors the relationship. Even the grieving, I think, honors the relationship. It's a loss because it meant something, and that is not
Yes.
a bad thing.
That's right. And you know what? It takes me back to, and I was just going to ask you this too, and I don't want to trigger you by asking you this, but this was the turning point for me in Scientology. And I was a Scientologist for 38 years, born and raised. This is where I actually started to go, F this, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, actually had my own opinion about it. When my husband died, and Dan O'Connor called me and said, "You need to get into the org right now for an ARC break session. We have an auditor waiting for you." And I did. I went in. I had a Sea Org member. He was like 18, named Colin, ready to go to take me in session. We went in session. We ran my rudiments, which is an ARC break, guys, checking to see if I have an upset, which obviously I did. And after that, we did a 3-hour loss of a person assist. And it was the command. It's over and over. It's the same thing. Look around here and find something that doesn't remind you of Fred. And that took 3 hours. And I was like, that guitar, good. Look around here and find something that doesn't remind you of Fred. And that was the turning point for me where I was like, I was so in love with this man. I will never not want to think of him.
Mhm.
Everything. I want everything to remind me of Fred. I
Yeah.
never want to forget Fred. And you're trying to get me to forget Fred. I know what you're doing. I knew what they were doing. And I thought, you're removing the emotion of the loss of my husband, and I don't wanna remove it.
Mhm.
And I thought about that for you, and I thought, what if you were still in Scientology and they did a loss of a person on Tony? I would think you would flip out.
Oh, I'd flip a table. I mean, I just, I don't think I've ever had the loss of a person assist. Maybe actually, I'm not sure
Oh
that that
god,
was
I've had
it.
so many.
But it's horrible, it's horrific. And you're right, exactly what you said. They wanted to take away the emotion out of it, because if we're unfeeling robots, we can work on doing Scientology's bidding, doing L. Ron Hubbard's work. But you don't have
Yeah,
to do that, and you held on to that, and you honor him all the time. And I
I
think that's
do.
the interesting thing about grief is it doesn't fully, and the only thing I can compare it to is like when my mom died, which was right before, I think a year before I met Tony, right about that time. And I was something I didn't think I would be able to get beyond, and I did. And going into this is like knowing that, and I'm sure Fred knew too, like you had so much life ahead of you that
Mhm.
he wanted you to go live that life. And Tony was the
Yes.
same way. The last thing he verbally said to me before they put him on the ventilator was, like he stopped, like they were, going at him, like getting him ready. And he said, "I love you and I want you to have an amazing life." And the way he said it, like it wasn't sad. It wasn't, it just wasn't sad. He meant it. And he knew that this was it, that he was never gonna come off the ventilator, and that this would be the last time that he spoke to me. He was able to communicate when he was on it, he could write, and he was more interactive than I thought he would be at times. But that is such a blessing because it's like he gave me permission to have an amazing life, have fun.
Yes.
That's always what he wanted for me. Always. Even when he was sick, it's
I
like we would
love
do the
that so
silliest
much.
things. Yeah.
And it's such a
I
gift that like, I didn't know that I wasn't there, I didn't know Tony, but, like, I would guess you wouldn't change it any other way. Like, for I knew
yeah.
Fred was gonna die, and it was the same thing, I accepted it, but it was the same thing, I felt this it wasn't sad, but the last thing he said to me, he said, uh he always called me kid, but he said, "Nobody will ever love you as much as I do, kid." And I was like, "That is such a gift," because I felt like he was saying, like, "I know you're gonna move on, but like, know this." And it's the same thing, like Tony saying that. It was such a gift in that moment. Um, I don't know. I carry that with me every day. I talk
Mhm.
to him every day still. I know he's with me. I know he helps me. I feel protected. And I do what you said you heard Tony's voice. Every once in a while I hear Fred's
Yeah.
voice. And I know
Yeah.
it's him because it's not me. Like I'm not even thinking about him and I'll hear him say something like, "I'm rooting for you." Like I'll just hear it and I'm like, "I know he's here." And
Yeah.
that that to me is was so powerful. Like when he said nobody will ever love you as much as I do. I'm sitting there with some dumb kid going, "Look around here and find something that doesn't remind you of Fred." And I was thinking of his words and I was thinking of my life with him. And I thought, I'm living the rest of my life to be with Fred at some point. And like, I know he wants me to be happy, but like, I'm going to carry him with me everywhere I go.
Yeah.
And you are not going to remove that emotion from me. And it's
Yeah.
amazing because that's what made me wake up. That's what really made me wake up and go, this isn't right.
Yeah.
This isn't right. I don't want to look at a soda can on the ground and go, that good. Look around here and find something. It doesn't remind you. Like you're removing Fred from me. You're taking
Yeah.
him away from me the
They're
day after he
speeding it
died.
up. Yeah. That's
Yes.
just the most inhumane it seems like to be able to do. And the way that Fred loved you and like what he said, I think take that and if you can love yourself the way that Fred loved you, it changes everything. And that's what I've tried to do.
Yeah.
I can love
And that's what they
myself the
want
way.
for us. That's what they want for us. I just hate that we had 2 of the very best guys and we don't have them here anymore. I'm not gonna say we lost them because I mean, I don't wanna invalidate what people think. I don't know what happens when you die. All I know is Fred is here, and I know that
Yeah.
Tony's with you. Like, I just know it. It's not a, "Oh, he's with you." It's not it's I know he is. I know it. I feel it. I know it. And so I never ever treat Fred like he's gone. I never, I'm
Yeah.
never like, "Oh, he's dead and gone," because he's not.
Yeah.
But
He's
I know
cheering you
those
on
guys
still.
absolutely, and so is Tony, and I know those guys want us to be happy, whatever that means. But I
Mhm.
do love that you said, "Love yourself like Fred loved you." Like, and I
Yeah.
feel like you're channeling Tony. You are doing that already. You're doing things you wouldn't normally do. You're getting out, you're experiencing things because I know that he would want you to do that.
Yeah, and the
And
ways
that's
I try
pretty
to do things
powerful.
yeah, how he would recently it's like he loved to sing. He played the guitar and he sang and he could sing, whereas I will sing, but it doesn't mean like I'm like a singer, like can sing. But I've started
Yeah.
recently singing with the passion that he did. And I realized like, wow, this is actually really fun. Like now I get why
Yeah.
he did it. It felt really good to
That's so
do.
cool. Again, I feel like that's something he would want you to do.
Yeah, and the
He just
simplest
Tony
things.
seems to me like the type of guy that just tried everything. Like, I'm so
Yes.
not like that.
No, he really did, and I've tried, and and given with Scientology, it's like you're just living in the same box, eating the same food, doing the same thing. It's the same
Yes, I
schedule.
avoid change. Yeah.
It's rinse, wash, repeat, and I've worked hard since he died to just say yes to things, to
Mhm.
just like, okay, it's like a friend, "Hey, do you wanna come go for a walk at this place?" I'm like, "When?" She's like, 6:30. I'm like, at night? I haven't left the house
I'm in
after
bed.
5 and I don't know how long. Do people like I forgot that grocery stores are like open.
Yeah, like, as soon as the sun sets, I'm like, "Yeah, I can't even answer the phone. I'm in bed."
No, sun's
Yeah,
down, bras off, I'm not leaving the house. It's just like, no.
yeah.
But
I
I
got
have
plans
been.
with my
That's
heating
right.
pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been doing more of that, going down even, going down to Florida again and saying yes to Miami and just different things. Just and some of them are very small things. Even listening to music again. I just started doing and
Yes.
listening to it
Oh my god.
loudly, dancing
I
around
listen
my
to music
house.
every day. Every
Yeah,
day.
that's a
Music
game
is my thing. Like,
changer.
some people do podcasts or, like, my sister does, like, audiobooks when she cleans. I listen to music every day. I listen to music in my car. I'm actually really choosy about it. Like, music is very powerful for me.
Yeah.
Music actually gives me a lot of my content ideas every day. I'll be listening to a
Really?
song and it will run all the time. Yeah, I'll be listening to a song and I'll hear the line of a song and I'm like, "That makes me think of that time with my dad or with Jeff or whatever," and I'm like, "What a concept. Look at what I think now about that versus then." And then I'll go, "I'm gonna go live about that," and then it just goes off into something
Yeah.
else. But yeah, yeah,
That's amazing. I would that
all the
that
time,
actually is a great idea.
all the time. Yeah, gives me content ideas all the time listening to songs.
That's
Songs are
good.
powerful, lyrics are powerful. For me, they
Mhm.
are.
Yeah. Yeah, and the music itself. It's such a game changer. That's one thing I missed. I remember being in the Sea Org sometimes sneaking up to my room to go listen to some music because you couldn't just have a radio playing in the background. Not in most jobs in in the Sea Org, probably even on staff. It's just you couldn't do that. And now I can't imagine getting through anything without it. Even having it was such a big part of our life together and having I mean, I don't remember if I told you this or I talked about it on a video. Do you have that happen? I'm always like, I don't know if I talked about this on a video or I actually told my
All the
friend.
time. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
I
he
had a meeting
listening
with
to
my
music.
mods. That makes me let me just tell you real quick because that made
Yeah,
me think.
go ahead.
I had a meeting with my mods the other day, and I was like, "I would never say this on a live," and they were like, "You just said that on a live, like, 2 days ago." I was like, "I did?" It's actually weird. It's like, you don't know what's like, did I say that out to the world? I don't know. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah. No, but the whole music thing when it's been such a big part of our life and even the night before he died in the middle of the night, I was in there and I had fallen asleep and the nurses all came in and there was all this chaos because his heart rate dropped. And it was, just, is this going to be it? And he was okay and he was awake. And so I went and I sat by him and I'm like, you want to listen to music? It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And, he nods. I'm like, okay, I'll pick songs. And then, he would just like do the shaka for like, yes. And that was his thumbs up, thumbs down, or he would make a face if he didn't like the song. And so I started playing songs and we just listened to him and his sister was there and he was trying to sing. You could see his lips moving even with the ventilator, trying to move his body just as if he would if he wasn't there in that bed. It did so it he rallied. I mean, this went on for 2.5 hours. And I saved every song to a playlist. I was so happy I did that. And
Yes.
he had such a good time. I had a good time. His sister had a good time who was with me. And it's so exactly what he would have done. It's just what he would
Yeah.
have done if he was at home or he was feeling better. And then it was just
Yes.
hours later that he died. And it was amazing.
I love that. I was gonna ask you, did you have music at his celebration of life?
Yes.
You did.
Well,
Yeah,
there
music
was my
really
sister put together a playlist.
okay, okay. Yeah, I'm very, very in touch with music, and when Fred was dying, the day he died, I played music, and, um, he was a piano player, a very, very good piano player, and I played right before he died, Piano Man by Billy Joel, and it
Oh,
was
nice.
crazy because he died exactly at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night, and that's the first lyric to that
9
song.
o'clock
It's
on a
9 o'clock
Saturday.
on a Saturday, and I
Yeah.
had that at his funeral. I played that at his funeral, but it's just music is very powerful, and I love that you did that with Tony. I think that's
Mhm.
really neat.
Yeah, it
I
was
think it's
totally up
soothing.
his
Like,
alley.
the day I die, I would like to have music playing, like, just go pass on to music.
Yeah,
I don't know,
exactly, and
it's
using it now
powerful.
as a tool the way that you do, listening to it all the time, finding inspiration from it. It can change our emotions in a moment in all over the place. It can be where I could be, just minding my own business, and then a certain song comes on, and then I'm crying. But,
Mhm.
it's more now, it's like I'll have more happy tears. I still have plenty of sad tears, but more often what's starting to happen is I'll hear a song and just, remember, and
Yes,
I smile or I laugh, and then I still
yes.
cry, but it's like somehow I'm starting to the things I'm remembering are more of the life, not the death.
Yeah, it's soothing. I find it soothing,
Yeah.
like, that's what I mean. I will cry thinking about a song with Fred or, like, another song, I'll be like, "Oh my god, I remember that moment with Jeff where, like, it got really bad," because that lyric to that song makes me think of it. Or, something in Scientology. It's really crazy how much music makes me go, "Oh, wow." I was listening to I love Billy Joel. I was listening to a
Oh, I
Billy
love
Joel
Billy
song
Joel.
the other day. I love, Matter of Trust. I was listening to that song, and he says, like, "Some love is just a lie of the soul, a constant battle for the ultimate state of control." And it made me think of my marriage, and I was like, "Oh, man, it's true. It's a constant battle for the ultimate state of control." Like, I just really take that stuff to heart. I really think about it, and it's just cool how each song you can drift off into a different memory, a different person, a loss or a gain or anything, or it can make you
Yeah,
cry happy tears or sad tears or I mean, I hear all the time on my playlist, Piano Man will come on. And of course I get sad and I cry, but then I'll think about takes me to the moment of hospice that day and he was dying and I was playing it. And it's just kind of neat how it music can actually guide you into, like, an emotion or a memory. And for me, every time that happens, I'm like, "I'm gonna title my video that, and I'm gonna go live about it." And then it takes me
that's
wherever it takes me.
amazing.
I don't talk about it for 2 hours, but I mean, it
Yeah,
takes me into a deep rabbit hole for a minute.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Maybe that's kind of the solution too when you find yourself feeling that, questioning or unstable is listen to that music. What one thing I had to do a few multiple times because I would, get up and be like, I love doing my recap in the morning. Anyone new to my
Mhm.
channel, Monday through Friday for sure, sometimes on the weekends, I do a recap of all the Scientology news and stuff. And I really enjoy doing it, and it really motivates me to get up because I know I have to do it. And, there's some prep work that goes in ahead of time that I have to do,
Oh,
and
yeah.
sometimes I start and I get through the prep work and I'm like I've had times where I'm like, "Oh, no, I don't think I can do it." And I have my pump me up playlist.
Mhm.
And I just put on the music, and next thing I know, I've, like, reframed, like, "Okay, this is empowering." I feel supported. I can, like, channel that energy, and I go and I do it, and I have a
Yes.
great time, and sometimes, I mean, like, I'll finish, and I'll finish my live stream, and I'll be fine, and I'll get on with the rest of my work and stuff, but probably much of the time, I'll finish it, and then I just cry. Even though I don't feel like crying when I finish it, and I think it's because after every video, I would go talk to Tony, and we would talk about it, and he told me what he thought. Later on, he wasn't like when he would be sleeping more, he wasn't when he would mod on my channel, and when he wasn't able to do that, he would still try and catch the videos, but often wouldn't make it through. But still, we'd be able to talk about it. We talked about you. I think I told you
Really?
this. Yes, like it became this like soap opera that we watch because this is before you and I got to know each other. And it was at times so funny And it was the humor that we could find. It was the storyline too, because he would ask questions like, well, what about this? Or did this happen? Or, and we talk about it. And it was like a show that we were watching. And I think a lot of people with your
Wow.
channel is they find that it can be like this break. And that's why with what I do, I talk about a lot of Scientology, but I'm trying to bring more of even humor with it. That's why I'm dating Xenu, a galactic overlord. This is why I joined a Scientology dating website, by the way, so that I could get people out of Scientology. So far, I haven't gotten any hits. I think I might need to redo my profile.
What did you just say? I was talking yesterday on a live stream about maybe dating a Scientologist, but for
Oh no,
real.
you don't want to date a Scientologist. I mean, these people,
Really?
it's such a small group of people that no one lives here. I'm not going to have to go out on a date. But if I
Are
can
there
make
any cute ones?
friends, couple, but if I could make friends and then help them leave Scientology, think of how many people got into Scientology through romantic relationships. A ton.
Are
So
there any
yeah,
old
no,
ones?
nah, well, maybe a couple. You got to set the age range, but no. Yeah, you definitely. I'm gonna have an intervention if you date a Scientologist. Like, well, one, they can't
I
because
know,
you're
but
a
it's
suppressive
so
person.
comfortable for me.
It's not. It's not. That is the uncomfortableness. The comfortableness is finding your way and not being so concerned about how it's all going to work out. Because at the end of the day, what's that saying? If it's not the ending you want, then it is not the end. But Scientology wants us to believe that there's always, oh, you have to reach this. And so many people, even not even in Scientology, I see that they're like, well, once I meet this person, then I'll be happy. Once I change my job, then I'll be
Right,
happy. Once I move out of
right.
this house, then I'll be happy. And they do. And there's not a lot more being happy. I think we have to be able to do that wherever we are, however we are. And then we have to be able to do that for other people. And that's where I think loving yourself the way that Fred loved you, giving people, giving yourself the same grace that you would give to somebody else. That those are the things that makes the difference in our healing. We've changed our behavior. We're not going after people. We're not trying to ruin lives, which is so much of what Scientology was about.
Right.
That is behavior that's very driven by that way of thinking and the black and white thinking and having to judge everybody and everything. Why can't it just be? Why, if floats your
Oh,
boat,
the
fine. If no one else is getting
Scientologists are
hurt,
the most judgmental people ever.
100%.
So, hold on, I have to sneeze.
Bless you. You have the daintiest sneezes. They're
Excuse
like
me.
little pixie sneezes.
Somebody once told me I have a mouse sneeze or a cat sneeze. Yeah, I love the love yourself like Fred loves you. That is
Mhm.
so amazing. That's really good advice. And Nat, I want you to listen to music because I feel
Yeah.
like that is very powerful and just I don't know. It's also a beautiful thing because you're unprepared on how it's going to make you feel. It's
Yeah.
music to me. This is such a weird comparison, but it's like a thrift store because I'm like I'm not in J Crew. I don't know what to expect. Like I could find anything. I could find a
Yeah.
treasure. I could find something really vintage. It's the same thing. Like when I hear a song, I know I'm either going to go, I'm so inspired right now by that, or it makes me feel motivated, or oh my god, I'm tears. I'm flooding with tears. It takes me back to Fred. Like,
Yeah.
I just think it's powerful and it's healing.
Yeah. And that's
I
how I
burst
think you should
into
look at
tears
life.
today. I don't even know the name. I don't know this song, but it just came up on my playlist. It's by Bonnie Light, I guess. I don't know.
Mhm.
And it's
Or
called
you have to
Deep in
send it to me.
Love.
Deep in
Yeah,
love.
and well, yeah, it's that
Okay. I'll go find it.
and it started playing and I was just randomly like cleaning today and the lyrics over and over were don't you break my heart. And he was like don't you break my heart and then I just like started thinking about Tommy and I started thinking about my
Mhm.
live last night and I just burst into tears and I was like it's okay. Like I was embarrassed
Yeah.
in my own home. I was like this is embarrassing that I'm crying over this. It was not that long of a relationship. It's dumb. But I'm kind of like no, it's okay. It's okay. It's
Yeah,
just
but see,
powerful. I want you to
you're
listen to
judging
music.
it, and That's part of the key too, is to not judge those emotions. You don't have to judge your feelings as being good or bad or negative or positive or misemotion, as they're called in Scientology.
It's
They
emotion, yeah.
are they're all emotions. And sometimes we cry, sometimes we laugh, sometimes we're angry, sometimes we feel anxious. It just, those things are. And I think if you approach what you said about the thrift shop, if you approach each day like that, I don't know what I'm going to
Yeah, you don't know.
find.
I don't know what I'm gonna find.
It could be a
Does anybody else
treasure.
get that excited? When I walk into a thrift store, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
"Bye, see you later." Like, I take off and I'm just, like,
It's a treasure hunt.
lost in the sauce. Yeah, I'm just so excited to find whatever I'm gonna find.
Yeah. It's a
Um,
complete treasure hunt. I'm going to pull
yeah,
up some of these comments and questions here that we're massively
please.
behind on. Escaping the cultiverse A. As an ex, I still don't feel fully confident in myself or my decision. It takes time. See?
Yeah, that's true, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ex-witness Vernon says, Natalie, would Reese like it in Minnesota? Absolutely. And girl, you know I
Not
got a
this time
guest
of year.
room. You would have your
It's
own
cold
bathroom.
here. What's it like there? I've been wearing a scarf in my own home. It's
Oh,
freezing
it's
there, I know it is.
like
Don't try to
50
tell
something
me.
today. No, but this Thursday and Friday, it's going to be like low 70s.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay,
actually
I
going to be
was wrong, I
nice.
admit that. Fine,
Yeah.
okay.
No, I've been working on Reese to like come visit. I'm like, there's a guest room.
Yes, it's true. I do wanna do that. We were also gonna do a Tampa meetup.
Yes. Yep. We need to do that too. Sarah says
Mhm.
Reese, Natalie needs to come visit you.
That too. It goes both ways. I think we're gonna end up doing both, probably more than once.
Oh, I'm sure. Ren says, and this is on your channel. Look at you two cuties. I'm so pumped to make a live. Give yourself grace. Silver Singles, Gizmo, and Gus are watching with me.
She's so cute.
Aw,
She's a really close friend of mine. I love her.
that's
She just
awesome.
yesterday or the day before rescued a, French bulldog and named him
Wow.
Gizmo, and he's so cute. He's so cute.
That is cute. Anna from Canada says Natalie and Reese are exceptionally strong. We appreciate that. I feel like a
Thank you, Anna from
hot mess half
Canada.
the time. Oh,
Same,
Mama's
same.
life. I love Mama's. Give yourself some grace. You both have gone through so much, but you two beautiful ladies are doing great. And there's nothing but happiness and peace coming your way. Self love is important. Oh,
That's such
Mama
a
with the
nice
wise
thing to
words.
say. That's so nice. Thank you.
It's so true, too. Sinfully good. Hey, Natalie, I lost my husband on the 25th of August, funeral October 23rd. So sorry for your loss. How
Very
did you
sorry,
get through
sinfully
the
good.
loss? Yep. How did you get through the loss of Tony? I'm having so much trouble with the loss of mine. Well, I've not gotten through it. I think it's just finding, you know, like we were saying earlier, I had this realization that if I'm okay in that moment, for that moment, then I'm going to be okay and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to laugh and I'm going to have fun. And then in those moments where I'm crying and I need to express some grief and I need to get it out, then I'm going to do that too. And I'm getting more comfortable with that because I'm learning that it doesn't mean I have to be stuck there. Because I don't know about you, Reese, but expressing like this level of grief is so new that I've never felt it or expressed it before, that I thought I would get stuck. Like, oh, if I let those feelings come, no, what if I get stuck there?
Right,
And I
right.
realized it's like a tea kettle. You just have to let some of it out and you're okay.
And I mean, I just don't get stuck in anything. I just don't. So I felt that fear. I know what you mean by saying that, but I mean, you just lost Tony. Sinfully Good just lost her husband. I'm so sorry, by the way. I lost my husband 5 years ago. So, I mean, it's still I cry about it. Like I said, I'll hear a song and cry about it. I
Yeah.
talk to him every day. It helps for me. It's very therapeutic to talk to him, to feel him. But I also don't want to force that on people. Some people don't believe in that, and that's okay too. But I just think it's okay to experience like I said about the shower. Like I couldn't bring myself to do it today, and that's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
just don't set expectations on anything, and I think you're good. Some days you're
Yeah.
gonna laugh, and you're gonna look at old pictures and laugh and think of something, and some days it's really hard, and speaking from someone 5 years later, it's still really hard.
Hmm.
But I
I think
love when I
that's
hear
so
his
true.
voice. I dream about him sometimes, and I find that to be such a gift when I can see him again. things like that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Kim Watts says, I think we also need to start every day over. Today is the first day of the rest of my life. I choose not to be my past, but to be my present. That is
That's
very
great
cool.
words of wisdom there, Kim. Yes, it's true. It's an effort. It takes effort to do that, but it's true.
Yeah. She also said there are no TRs to pull in, no training routines. Always releasing our emotions is important. That's right. And I think that's a lot of that processing, and I feel like you're doing so much of that. And I think there's something about, and I don't think it would work the same for everybody, but I so feel what you're saying about YouTube and this being part of your therapy and your recovery. I feel that way as well. I don't feel that I know hugely the reason I get out of bed every day to do a recap is because I know there's people who are going to show up, and they're going to
Mhm.
show up, and I want to show up for them. And it's like that energy and those well wishes just fuel me. And sometimes that's what I need to just do the next thing that I have to do. And I've
Oh, yeah.
gotten better at when that runs out and my cup is empty. Okay, what do I need to do? Is it tea by the window? Is it music? Is it time with a friend? Is it a movie? Is it, what is it? And then it does come together. Um,
Mhm.
Helen, a flock of swan boats. Love that. This is on your channel. She says, I'm sure Fred and Tony have become great friends, and it gives them both comfort to see the two of you leaning on each other.
I
Oh my God,
love
that's
her.
so nice.
Thank you, Helena. And she's probably right. I mean,
Yeah,
they're not all as good as Fred and Tony. And I hate that they're not with us anymore.
yeah,
Sometimes I just think that I'm like, if I just still had Fred, I wouldn't have all these issues, but I do still have him and it's just in a different form.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I completely think so. And I think it's so great to be able to talk about it and those lessons, and hearing too, like you said, how much Fred loved you, and knowing that, I don't know, maybe him still being there and cheering you on is his way of saying, love you. Like
Yeah.
I feel like this is for both of us, that like 2025 is like going to be our year. We've got a couple more to see through of this year, but I'm excited about it. I look forward to it. And I think that's too how I honor Tony. He wanted me to have an amazing life. I'm going to. I do. I have an amazing life, even right now,
Oh,
because it
yeah.
can be amazing, but still be going through something very difficult at the same time. I'm learning
Yes.
so much. I'm learning things about myself. I'm meeting so many other people just like you have too. And
Yes.
you're doing it. You're standing on your own 2 feet. You kick butt on your channel. It's like you're doing all of the things.
Yeah,
You
thank
got to
you for
give yourself
saying
some
that. And
credit.
I just want to say, like, I think you're right about it being our year. I think it will be. I want us to be very successful, independent women on our channels, especially. Like, I want to grow my channel too. And I want to reach more people. And I think it's all so exciting. I'd love to get some sponsorships. I'd love to do the shopping route with some stores and
Yeah.
boutiques. And um I think that, if meeting somebody is in our future, I hope for that too. And if not, that's okay too. But I mean, I have Huxley and I'm proud of him. And I was saying today that I think I want to take him like do a mother Sunday, like once a month, like go
Oh,
out for like a
fun.
nice dinner. Yeah, like just something
Yeah.
like that.
Do
You
it while
know,
he'll still do it with you.
exactly, because that's probably gonna run out soon, but I mean, there's a lot of things that we should be thankful for and look forward to, and I think our friendship is a huge one. Like, I'm very grateful for this friendship. I think
Yeah,
about you
same.
all the time, even if we don't talk. I am still sober, by the way.
Oh,
I
you
have
haven't
not
gone? Me
gone
neither.
over. No.
Yeah,
Now I've gotten a ton of screenshots because my mods have sent them to me from that channel so that I could give it to my lawyer.
yeah,
Stuff that the ex was saying. So that was kind of a drag, but I never
yeah,
went over there to look at it. So I
yeah,
mean, you and I feel like we're gonna do this. We're gonna grow
yeah,
together and not let the other one fall. And I just think while there's a lot of sadness and there's a lot of things that we probably haven't grieved because we weren't allowed to, and it's easy to look back. There's so much to look forward to too, and I kind of forget that sometimes. Like I get
Yeah.
sunk down in it. And then I think, wait though, like I have real friends, that
Oh,
understand me
yeah.
and I can lean on.
With good
And there's a
ideas. Look
lot
at
to be
this.
said for that. Yeah, I would love
Shards
that.
of
Shards of
Words,
words.
Sephora as a sponsor. Like, yeah, I could
We know I
totally see
deserve
you
it. I've
doing that.
sold like 700,000 of those lip stains.
I need to find this lip. I just found out that I can get Sephora delivered to my house through Instacart.
Really?
So I did get a couple things. I just don't know what I should be getting. I heard you can do a makeup thing at Sephora, like a makeup class or something that they can do. That's like what I
Oh,
need to do. Yeah, where I live with Instacart, I can get it. This is on your channel, Kathy Ann. You both pass on the gift of insight and love to so many that Tony and Fred gave to you. Your growth is their growth, and in that way, they live.
that's amazing. That's so true.
Kathy Ann, that's
That's
so
so true.
sweet.
It's also powerful. It's true. I think about that. I keep Fred alive by talking about him. I've had a
Yeah.
couple people reach out to me on my channel and they're like, it'd be great if you didn't talk about him so much. Like he died. It's like, okay,
Did he
maybe you need
die?
I need to
What?
he's right here. Let me get
He's
him for
dead?
you. Um, yeah,
Arkansas Flamingo says, yay for
I
both
like
of
keeping him
you.
alive.
Yeah. Yay for both of you not looking at those sites. Yeah. They're, it's all like energy. It's all a vibe. And it's like if we got up first thing in the morning and covered ourselves in dog shit, then you show up in the world covered in dog shit and it makes you feel a certain way. But if you don't cover yourself in it because it really doesn't have anything to do with us, then, you're
Yes.
doing your own thing. Probably
And
didn't need to go
there's
there with a
always going
dog
to be
shit
people that
analogy.
no, it definitely made a point. It impinged. I think too, there's going to be always people out there that, don't want us to succeed. And I just think there's so many things we can overcome and we are, and it's something to be proud of. I think we need to stand a little taller about
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
tend to worry all the time and think, what if they don't like me? Or what if I made the wrong decision? And you know what? Just own it. Either way, own it. Own
Yeah.
what you do and believe in what you do. And right
Mhm.
now,
Love
that is
yourself
YouTube
like
for me.
Fred.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best advice I've ever heard in my life.
Love yourself like
Yeah,
Fred. I like that. Nicole the Kiwi says there's always space for a dog shit analogy. I
always.
used to
Who
I
doesn't
used
do
to work
that?
in I know. I used to work in radio and my co-host would say it was like right after I left Scientology. And she would say we'd get off the air and she'd be like, "Wow, it's like, you go from like a stub toe to heroin addiction. Like there's no there's just like it's so extreme in your thinking."
True.
And I didn't get that at first, but eventually I realized that that was still so much of Scientology is it's just the worst possible because you're stuck in fight or flight. You
You're
actually get
stuck in
stuck
it.
there. Yes, that's where they want to
So
keep
true.
us. Not anymore.
No mo. No mo.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Um, if
We
there
didn't
are
really
there
go into the boundaries talk, but I feel like we should save that for next time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think the whole idea of kind of a lot of it's not exactly the same thing, but I'm happy with how it went.
Oh, I am too. I
Yes,
just
we
was
need to
thinking
do
about
that
like
again.
things I wanted to say, but
Oh,
that's
for
one of the
sure.
reasons like I love what I do on my channel because I never have a subject. I'm like, we're just going to what we did
Mhm.
tonight is exactly what I'm used to. It's organic. But there were
Yeah.
some things that I realized I'm like, oh, I kind of wanted to talk about, but I think we should just do this more and more. I love
Yeah.
chatting with you.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to make it a regular thing. I think it's super helpful for both of us and I think, our audience too. I really appreciate people being here and chiming in and sharing their
Mhm.
wise words because we're like, "Oh, never thought about it
Yeah,
that way."
absolutely. And especially I just find so much healing in talking to you because again, there's just this safety of talking to an ex-Scientologist that I just can't explain or put my finger on that, like, I feel like I can flip languages, I feel like you know what I'm talking about, and also, every once in a while, I feel like even though you guys love me, I'm talking to the chat right now. Like, I know we really have a connection. I still sometimes feel like a green bug, like people just can't identify with me. They're like, what? Like when I talk to you, I know that you know what I'm talking about, or like I have these weird
Yeah.
faults and flaws, and you're like, yeah, I know. Like I understand and I know. Like I understand your fears and what you're describing right now. And sometimes I worry that other people are like, damn, that girl's crazy.
Oh, no, I think
That's
they
how
get
but
it. They
that's how
relate.
Jeff looked at me. Well, that's it's my ex-husband. That's where that's coming from. It's
Yeah.
like, I thought it was safe to be me, and he would go, "You have no common sense." Or he would
Mhm.
go, "People don't think like that. That's your weird Scientology. You realize that." Like, just make me feel less than, make me feel very
Yeah.
squashed and small and, like, foreign and, like, just out of touch with everything, and so there's just I never feel that way on my channel, first of all, like, nobody makes me feel that way. Tommy never made me feel that way, and you don't make me feel that way, and it's but more so what now I'm just dragging this out, but what I'm trying to say is, I know that you identify with what I'm saying, if it's a
Totally.
Scientology thing. That's
Yeah.
all I'm trying to
I
say. That
completely
could have
get it,
been a
and it
much
is, and
shorter sentence.
there's sometimes too where I'll like, um, like when I was just in Florida and I'd be talking to Jenna and I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to explain this in Scientology terms because it's going to be the fastest way to do this.
Yep.
And then what I like to do is, okay, how do we explain that in regular words? What is the correct identifier? And
I do it all the
identifying
time.
it is so much part of the healing. There's this is on your channel. Shelly says people always say you only live once. I disagree. I say you only die once. You live every day. Enjoy your lives, ladies.
I
Oh,
love Shelley. Thank you, Shelley. And you're right, Nat. That's funny that you say that because I do that to Tommy all the time. And I do it on my channel. I'll go, I can't think of another language to say this in. So I'm just going to say it in Scientology and then we'll break it down.
mhm.
And Tommy would go,
Yeah.
okay, it's actually, he would like make a game out of it and he would go,
Mhm.
do it. So I can kind of try to interpret what you're about to say. And
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
you can, and sometimes it's not that hard. But like, before we started the show, I was like, it's just a big surf act. You have no idea. They would
Mhm.
have no idea what I'm saying to say I'm surf
Yeah.
acting, which
Yeah,
now I feel like I
exactly.
need to tell you what that is. But that's called service facsimile, guys. And it's basically, um, when you're surf hacking, see, I can't think of the
Like
English
you're
term
making
for it,
somebody wrong. Like your butt
but you're making
hurt
yourself right by making somebody
by
wrong. Like
making them
you're
wrong.
like
Exactly.
Jeff is a walking surf hack, in my opinion. Like he's doubling down after I showed all those receipts last night. He's going back to Reddit going, we'll see about that. Like she's
Yeah.
going to prison still. That's surf hacking. Like
Yeah.
you're still making yourself right and you're making
Yeah.
somebody else wrong. So it's like you're just a walking surf hack.
Yeah, and you
I
can
don't know.
walk around saying that you've grown wings. It's not necessarily gonna be that, like, that is what the reality. Alicia just bought
Damn.
50 Relatable Reese memberships.
Whoa, Alicia, that's huge.
Now it's gonna
Thank you.
rain down in the
It's gonna
chat
rain hot
green.
sauce packets. Thank you, Alicia. I love when people gift memberships. It's so exciting because people get so excited about it. Alicia, I love you, girl. Thank you. I'm happy you're here. I didn't even know you were in here. That's amazing. Thank you, Alicia. I love you. But yeah, that's he's a walking surfac.
Mhm, yeah, exactly, and the great thing about that, it's like you have obviously the ability to look and go, okay, is this true? Is this not true? He's so stuck on one scenario. There's only one record that he can play. He cannot get off the
Yep, it's a
turntable.
loop. He's
Yeah,
stuck
it's a
on a
loop.
loop. Yeah,
It's
it's
a loop.
so annoying.
It gives desperation.
It does, but yeah, desperation is a stinky cologne, by the way, Jeff. Yes, it gives desperation, and I find that like I see that more in men, the loop thing. Like my experience with that is more in men. Like I don't understand how you can't get off of that record and see that like, okay, this is present time. This is real. Like he's stuck in an incident, is how I look at that. He's out of PT. He's super out of present time.
Mhm.
Doesn't
Yeah,
it
and
seem that way to you? Like he's stuck out of PT.
it totally does, and the ways that he tried to control you during the relationship, he's still trying to do that. He tried to control you through invalidation and making you feel small, which is basically abusive emotional manipulation. And he's trying
Yeah.
to do it now. He's trying to take away the security that you have that is real. And that's why I mean, what do you do with somebody like that except kind of like laugh and move on and not give him any more attention? Because it's like he's just a little man over there having a delusion. If we can't control that, let him. He can have Reddit. They can all, if
Yeah.
people want to get involved and just staying in this swirling toilet bowl of hate and judgment, that's okay. We can let them.
That's right. And somebody said, Witchy Trista is it Surfac, like SURFAC? No, it's SERFAC. So service, like service, facsimile, FAC. So surfacking is short for it. But yeah, it's a service facsimile. It's surfacking. It's just making yourself right by making others wrong. To me, it's kind of doubling down and being like, well, you're still wrong, even with proof. Like you're still wrong. And I'm going to make you wrong. Like that's just, I mean, I don't know about you, Nat, but we used it all the time in Scientology. Like, oh, he's just surfacking,
Yeah, exactly.
but
It's just another kind of justification and way of saying it. Somebody asked
mhm.
too, what is I lost it. Now I forgot it. What was it? It was, what is a shore story? A shore story is basically a lie. An acceptable truth is how in Scientology it's believed. So Scientology could show up in Florida in the 70s in Clearwater and pretend to be a completely different church to buy the property. That was a
Mhm.
shore story they told because the real world cannot accept the truth and importance of
And
Scientology.
you know what's interesting? We never used shore story. We used acceptable truth all the time, though.
Mhm.
Like my dad, anybody I was around would go, it's saying, how can we lie about this? So let's give an acceptable truth.
Yeah.
I
It's
used to do
more
that
of
with my
a
mother-in-law because she wanted to lie to her husband, Doug, about things like finances. Like she didn't want him to know that they just donated on their credit card of 50 grand. So she'd be like, how can we give an
Ugh.
acceptable truth? Help me come up with an acceptable truth. This is just a lie.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah, it was more shore story was more of a term used in the Sea Organization on account of the ships and all that and the fake space
that makes
navy.
sense.
So shore
That
story
makes sense.
kind
And
of
I was
thing.
in I was in the cadet org. I wasn't in the Sea Org. So
Katie Fulton says, some men, we can't change the past. It's always about you should have, you could have. I'm just over here going to be choking on my own saliva. Well, right now, because that's all we can control, I get this. Some men on loops.
Katie said earlier, I saw her say a lot of men are stuck on a loop. I mean, I don't know that I haven't seen that too much, but I will say, like in relationships I've been with, it's like, let it go. Like, why can't you let this go? And I realize women don't want to be told that. I don't want to be told, why can't you let this go? But like, what I
Yeah.
mean specifically is the loop. Like, get off the record. You're on a hamster wheel. Like, that's what he is doing right now. He can't look at the facts and what's in front of him. Instead, he's just like,
Mm,
yeah, I'll still get you. I'm still going to get you. And
yeah.
it's like, you've got to let this go. I texted him last night after my stream and I said, you've got to let this go. Like, please let this go. I'm done with you. And he was like, I can't. You're going to have to suffer the consequences of your actions because you've committed a felony. And I was like, oh my
in,
God.
in what world? You should
No.
just tell him, well, I really can't deal with that right now because I'm flying to the moon tomorrow.
Oh my God. I just wanted to be like, let's just get married again. Clearly, we're just still married. Like, this is ridiculous. I feel like we're still in this relationship. Like, you're not in present time and you're just spewing weird stuff what's weird? He used to say to me all the time, he would say this exact verbatim. He'd go, your thoughts are not based in reality. It was so gaslighty. And I remember as a
So
Scientologist, I
gaslighty.
was like, what in the I was like, "What does that mean?" And he would say it all the time, and now I wanna say, "Your thoughts, dude, are not based in reality.
Yeah, he was just projecting. That's exactly
Quit
true.
surfacking. Quit surfacking."
Asen Asen says Jeff would be a very good Scientologist, I think. He does all the BS even without being in that cult.
Yes. Gaslighting. Yeah.
Yeah, that is some serious unhinged behavior. And again, it comes from being so stuck that you can only see things one way, that you're so convinced of your rightness and your belief and your judgment about something or somebody that you can't even entertain anything else. And that's when we see that type of behavior, like that level of delusion, you committed a felony. It's like, really?
Which would
Okay.
make he would oh god, I couldn't believe it. I was, like, making myself a cup of soup last night, and he was like, "Well, you're still a felon." I was like, "Stop it." But I thought, "Oh my god, you would make a great Scientologist." Like, they
Yeah.
are delusional like that, and they're set. They are set in their ways, and they're judgmental, and they're bulldogs. Like, once they latch on, they just don't let go, and that's where he's at. It's like, "Okay, well,
Yeah, but he
uh"
can, because all it is a delusion. It actually doesn't play in the real world at all. And, he's playing pretend in a pretend land on the internet. It's just like, okay.
That's so frustrating. I know. It's really
Mhm.
frustrating, though.
Yeah. All right.
But
Well, we
this was
should
fun,
wrap this
Nat.
up because we will talk
Yep.
forever. And
Forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad that we did it, and
Guys,
we will do it again.
we will do it again, and thank you for being here. I've been trying to kinda keep an eye on the chat. I can't click for some reason on,
Oh, dang it.
comments. You can't when you
Oh, I know
stream.
how we no, but I know how we can fix that next time. There's a way, like, I can add you into my
Don't worry about
StreamYard,
it.
and then you get
If I
control.
really wanted to read something, I could say, "Hey, click on that." I used to do that
Yeah.
with Tommy where I'd be like, "Oh, where does that say?" But I just wanna say, guys, I have been paying attention to that and checking the chat at the same time, and I just wanna say thank you for everybody for coming to both channels, and it just means the world to us. I love talking to Natalie, especially about just things we both relate to and Scientology. So, I appreciate you guys being here to listen, and thank you again for your super chats, and Alicia, I really appreciate you gifting those memberships. That is so kind. People love it. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, those are some good hot sauce packets.
Yeah, it was a lot of hot sauce packets. Thank you again.
Yep, I love you call it that. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Everybody, please show some aloha to that like button. Subscribe to both our channels, Relatable Reese, Scientology Life After a Cult over here. We'd appreciate your support. Thank you for being here. Have a fantastic cult-free night, everybody. We will see you tomorrow.